All right, welcome to Da Vinci Resolve. So this is just Brooke and Nathan's wedding film that I'm currently editing. And just give you a rundown of all these tabs down here. This is where the media ones are feet. This is like the media page where you have all your files. This is like a fast editing. I don't ever use this page, but if you wanted to cut something really fast, this is meant to be for that. So I usually skip that one and work mainly in this edit page. And then we have Fusion, which is DaVinci's version of After Effects. And then we have the color page. And then we have where you do the sound, the audio stuff. And then exporting is over here. So it's kind of like a little way how to go through a project. You go through this direction. It has everything all in one place. So it's nice and easy. You don't have to jump from program to program, which I like. And it's just very intuitive, especially if you use B-Raw and shoot Blackmagic. It makes sense to do it all in here. Because the color grade in particular DaVinci is where it's at. Like that's really good at DaVinci for. But I also edit, which I think it's fun. You can go back and forth. So first of all, you have to organize your files. A lot of people don't do this. They just put all their things in a mishmash in their drives. But it's super important to organize it. So here, this is like my basic structure. So you have all the audio files. This is where you put all your media. So all your video clips. And then output is all your renders. And then project is your project files. So it could be DRP or Premiere projects or After Effects projects, so all that craziness. And then within media, I organized everything based on like type. So for example, Brooke and Nathan, I organized it by like the event. So we have the rehearsal, the girls prep, guys prep, at the church, veil, private vows, all that. And within each one, I have like camera A, camcorder. Sometimes I have cam B, but this one I mainly shot by myself with my sister on a camcorder. So that's besides the point. Organization is nice. You want to organize all your clips in DaVinci as well. So what I like to do is for example, like drag everything, like find it within your drive. And then you can drag everything. No. You can select everything and then right click, add folder and subfolders into media pool, create bins. That way, when it comes in here, it doesn't just splash everywhere and you have everything unorganized. It'll be organized and nice for you. You can also make bins manually by right-clicking and there's new bin and you can name it and all that. I'm gonna delete that. And then it's also good to have a bin that says timeline. So this is where you can keep all your timelines. So it's not floating everything. So everything is all nice and organized. And the reason why you want to be organized is what if something gets unlinked and then you're at a loss? You're like, I don't know where to find it. So it's always good to know where your things are so that when you want to relink things, you can really relink things. And that would be over here. If it has something that it can't find, this will be red. And then you can locate exactly where, because you know where it is. And it would be nice and easy. No panicking. Let me go through more in detail this page. So this is the toggling thing. This is, you can disable your color grading. Say you color graded and then you want to come back, but then all of a sudden your denoise is chugging along and it's not playing back as smooth. So you can disable it and get back to editing and then enable it later. You can jump back between those two. And then here you can toggle if you want to be using your proxies or you want to look at your camera original. So when I'm editing, I would prefer proxies, and when I'm color grading, I would do camera original so you can see what you're looking at. Speaking of proxies, it's great and you absolutely need to do it if you're shooting B-Raw. Let's see if I can find it. Oh yes, Blackmagic proxy generator. What? Yeah, what is a proxy? Proxies is like, it's like a lower res version of your file. Like say you shot 4K B-raw and it's a Gigantamasaurus file. It'll take a while for this to chug along, you know, your timeline's gonna start feeling slow. So it's always good to make like a little low res version. So in here you have different versions. You can do H.264, 8-bit, this, that, this, ProRes. This is good, you know, honestly. That's great. So it's pretty easy. You just add, you find where your files are. You select them and you see I have a proxy here. And then you just open it, and after you chose it, you just start. And it just makes it for you. You can like queue up several different folders, so you only need to press start and you can leave, and it'll be generating proxies for you behind the scenes. So with that, let's look at the rest of this page. So let's see. Right here, you can toggle your timelines. So you can put like different things that you're working at the same time. For example, I edited a little Super 8 film here, but I also want to pull some of that and bring it to like the main timeline, so I can do that. It's quite nice. This is just scaling. You can put to fit. So that's nice. You can zoom in and out with your scroll wheel. What else? Here's your effects. You can have video, audio, title. It's kind of like what you have in Premiere. Nice. You got generators. You can explore that. This is your media pool. You can always drag things in here. What I like to do is like scrub through it and be like, ooh, why is this slow? I like this point. Click I and then O, and then you set your in and out points, and then you can drag it directly into timeline, or you have several options here. We have linked, so it'll make, when you select something, it won't, if you have it linked, then it'll select both of them, ideally. Yeah. And then unlinked, you can just deal with the top or the bottom, audio or the video file. And then this is where you can zoom in and out to your timeline. Quite handy. And then keyboard customization. You can, you can put anything that you normally do in Premiere in here. So we have, what I like to do is Q and W. So Q is start to playhead that I've assigned, and then W is end to playhead. So you just go through and you can assign it here. You can pick, because I think default is not Q and W. So I would start to playhead and it's under Ripple. And let me just show you what it does, because now that's just kind of vague. So it's nice when you have, for example, like when I'm editing audio and I have like a little gap or anything. Normally you would do this. You would be like, let's just Control B, which is cut, Command B, and then I want to Command cut here, and I want to get rid of this part, and I want to move this back. That's like 4 different steps. It's like so many steps. So Ripple, start playhead, end to playhead is just like a little easy way where you can be like, I want to cut here, and then I want this area to be gone. So you just click Q and it brings it right back, snaps it, and it's quite fast. Same thing, you could be doing W, so the end to playhead, cutting that. So that's just a really fast way to cut stuff up. Ripple deleting it and all of that. And then another fun one I always use is A. Oh, okay, there we go. A. I set that to select all after, I don't remember what it's called. A selects clips for on all tracks. So in the case that this was far away, I could just be like, edit, and bring it, move it wherever I want to. So it's a nice one. And then another keyboard shortcut I use a lot is L. And you can play it, and it plays 2 times speed. Really nice. 4 times speed if you want. 8 times speed. Okay. So that's also very helpful. M is marking. So if I wanted to edit exactly to a certain point, then you can mark it and then you can snap it there to get precise places. What else? I know is always what I use, in and out. Q, W, Command B for cutting, A for selecting everything, past your playhead, L for speeding through stuff. I think Command N is making a new timeline. Let's see. Yes, Command N is making a new timeline. And you can just do that, or you can just right click and then you create a new timeline. That also works too. So that's a lot of how I do my editing. Right now I haven't done much sound design. This is a lot of dialogue, but I'm gonna add music and sound effects and all that stuff after, but it's a good way to see how everything is going. You can I guess in a lot of the class people's stuff that I've seen, like the audio and the video is just like side by side, but it's also fun to consider, like, do you want your audio starting before you see the picture or after, like really blending it. It's called J cuts, L cuts. Like if you see something and then you hear it, or you hear something and then you see it, and it just makes it more seamless. You can play around with that and like really weave your footage together so it's not very choppy, or at least try not to make it choppy. You want to make your edits intentionally invisible or intentionally extremely invisible. And then another fun thing, I love to color code everything. I just think it's so much more prettier to look at. So that's just right click on the clip color, and you can have all these fun colors to choose from. And so that you can look from a distance and be like, this is the girls' prep, this is ceremony, this is reception and private vows, this is not reception, this is ceremony, and this is a reception. And then when I do my sound effects, it'll be a different color. All this is dialogue, so I'm going to keep it green. And so you can have it looking quite nice. This is your video, and this is your audio tracks. Other stuff that I usually find myself changing is you can change the track from mono to stereo. You can mute, or you could solo. Like if you want to solo, you can you can just hear just that track and nothing else. And then there's locking. Make sure if it's all set in stone, you can do that. Same thing up here, you can disable, you can lock.
That's volume control transfer.
Volume control. For each individual ones, you can go in here and toggle that. You can also, if you want to like change, like it's called normalizing your audio to a certain degree. So if you're like, oh, I want the highest decibel to be like -9, for example, you can like select everything, go to normalize audio levels, and you can set it to -9, for example. So that's how you can like change a lot of audio at once. But I would also like just go in, like you actually kind of have to like manually look at every clip and make sure that you're in the right zone. For like audio is, for dialogue, I think it's around like -15 to -12, like this region. For like stuff in the background, you want to stay a little bit lower, and then for things that you want to be really loud, you want to stay like maybe in this zone, but never past the 0, because then you'd start getting wonky sounding peaking stuff, which you don't like. I'm not a huge, I'm not really good at this, honestly, but I know that you can like link all your tracks to a bus, and then you can just adjust the gain of everything all at once. I have yet to explore that, but that is an option. And then other stuff, the inspector right here. This is where you do all your fun things. It's pretty similar to Premiere. You can do zooms, can rotate it. You can do speed changes, I guess. Zooms. You can do stabilization if you really need it, but that one you need to experiment with because sometimes it like warps it in a funky way. But it's there. Like if you have like a really wobbly footage and you want it to be smoother, you can try. Yeah, it always looks funky.
Like, I don't know, it makes it look like
Yeah.
you're untrue.
Yeah.
It like, it takes it. Like it tries to, make it not wonky, but then depending on how you do that, cause on Premiere you can do it, based on warp or like position or whatever,
Yeah.
like it'll move the frame so then not everything's in the frame and then it just like the footage is no longer usable.
Yeah, it crops in too, which is. Yeah, I never really use it. Just embrace the wobbliness. It's nice. Or get a gimbal. Those are the two options. And then scaling. I sometimes when your stuff is like when it comes in, it has like black bars. You can just select fill and it fills the whole page. It's quite nice. And then same thing with audio. You have all these different things. You got volume. I don't ever pan, but if you wanted to, you could. Equalizers, also something I use a lot. Especially when like you have like something in the background, but you want to hear someone's voice. Usually what is nice is if you can duck it so that you can hear the voice better. So like say if I had like something else in the background, but I don't want to hear it as much, you can like dip it right here. This is where like the human voice sits at. You dip it, then it will make it a little bit more like softer, and then you can hear your dialogue a little bit better. That I use all the time. And then on the clip itself, you can fade it if you want. Very handy. There's also this thing, if I can get it in the way, where you can like adjust, like if you want it higher or lower, you can let's get into it. Where my zoom is getting in the way. You can raise it like this, just on the clip. You can also put keyframes to where you want it to be louder. Say I want to like do that and that. And then you can change this to make it curved or play with all that. I'm gonna get rid of that. So you do all of that and you can disable that like that. Very helpful. You can also do fades like this too, but I don't ever really use that. Yeah, fades. I don't know. I don't really like fades. It feels funky. But if you're doing it artistically, that's great. There's more like transitions here if you wanted to look through it. I never use these.
Okay.
Yeah, clearly never use that. But it's there. There's some fun stuff here if you want to just like binoculars. You can do CCTV. You do stuff like night vision, different effects, blurring. You could do green screen with like the 3D keyer, glow. I use this all the time. Makes it cute. Yeah, what does glow look like? Let me just, where am I? Let me show you, because I haven't graded the other one. I've graded this. And this is, I guess we're talking about color grading now. This is very basic. Like I need to dive deeper in it, and I am not the person to teach this. There's a bunch of YouTubers out there, Casey Ferris being one of the people I watch for Da Vinci stuff.
Yeah.
That's a good thing about Da Vinci, because you just search up like how to do this on YouTube and you'll be able to find it. And if you can't, then we can search for it together. But I think the main way I've learned Da Vinci is just a bunch of videos. Like, yeah. But this is a very, very basic color thing I did. So a lot of different like black magic footage, you're gonna, or any footage really, you're gonna have like noise. Let me turn everything off so you can see the steps. So the cool thing about Da Vinci is it's node based instead of being layer based. So I think like it's kind of like Blender. And it's just easier, I think, for me visually to see. And you want to like separate everything so that you can like adjust it and be like, oh wait, I want to go back. The exposure is a bit funky. I want to fix that. You can go in instead of having everything like stacked on top of each other. And if you're like, I don't think I did a great job, you can always like reset the node grade, and then start from scratch. So it just keeps everything nice and organized. So I usually do like a denoise first. I don't know if I can see. You can like see the graininess, like the oh, there you go. You can see it now. I want to take back a little bit of that noise. I don't know. So I usually do that. And then a good one to do next is exposure. Oh, exposure. And oh, another thing about denoise, it takes a lot of I don't know how to explain it, but if you have that on, it starts chugging along, you know, so it takes a lot of power. So usually after I like get that done, I just disable it. You just click on this to disable stuff. So that's good enough. You're like, why is everything so slow now all of a sudden? That's why. It's because the noise. Exposure, your lights and darks. I like to look at this graph. Fancy. So this is where I usually keep all my like brights to here. And then this is over, if you're past this line, you're really overexposing. And then down here is your like darkest darks. So if anything goes past this light, then this line, then you are crushing your blacks. And there's times where you want to crush your blacks. Like I want this border of this film to be somewhat black, so you can see on both sides it's being crushed. And then you can kind of tell, like in the middle is the brightest area. So you can see that this is up here. So generally you want, especially if you have the raw footage, which I have not done, this will be a huge thing. You want to take your flat colors and stretch it out to where you like it. And the way I do that, you can do it several ways. You could do it from this curve and like lower your darks and brighten your lights. You can do it like that. Or you could fix exposure with these knobs. Very scary looking things, but it's pretty easy. Lift controls all your darks. Gamma is your midtones. Gain is your higher range of lights, and then offset kind of toggles everything. So let me just add a node so that I don't ruin my own grade. So here you can, if you wheel this down, you can see it's taking those darks and it's moving it down. And then you have your gamma, which is like your midtones, and then your gain. It's really, really raising that top. And then offset is it just moves the whole thing generally. Reset it. So that is how I do exposure. And then next is color. Usually I feel like you could also have a white balance and then a color, but I feel like when I'm doing it, it feels like the same thing. So I just lump it under color. So I wanted it to be a little bit warmer, so you can make it warmer here. You can also shift any of these colors and say, I want my highlights to be pink. You can move that if you wanted to. Another way that you can kind of adjust your white balance is with this curve right here. So this toggles like the brightness, I think. And then you have like the reds, greens, blues. So when something is like perfectly Y balanced, then these three values are the same. So you can like raise the reds, you can raise the greens if you wanted, lower the greens, make it more red. And then you have blues. So that's just something you can play around with to get like the white balance you want. Reset that. And then what I like is a little glow. Not necessary. I don't know if you can tell in this clip. Maybe not. Let me delete this one. When I have something that's like overexposed, like say like the window is overexposed, I like to have a little glow to like feather out the edges so it's not like a harsh line between this is overexposed and underexposed. At least I can find like an example. Or okay, this probably has it. There you go. See, I don't know. It just makes it. I like that. You can go into effects to find it. Whoa, cute. And then you can adjust how bright you want it to be, and then adjust how big you want that. See how it's expanding. Just that. To where I think it looks nice. So those are my 4 main things. I know people out there sometimes they isolate like the skin tone to like and mask it and get all complicated with that. I'm not there yet, but this is like a really good general like beginning structure, especially when you have black magic footage. So maybe I don't know about this. Maybe I'll just do an example grade. Let's choose like the beginning with some exposed window. So black magic shoots like this flat profile so that it can retain all like the information. So it basically crushes all your colors, like smushes it flat down. And then in your color grade, you can expand that and you have more control and it retains more of the detail. If you weren't shooting flat, for example, then you'd have like a bunch of colors. And then when it gets to a certain point, when it's like really bright, it doesn't have that information or detail. So what Blackmagic cameras do is it smushes it real flat. Same with like Sony cameras. If you shoot like S-Log or V-Log, it like looks very, very flat, but we can expand it. So you can add node labels. So I want to first do my little I know there's a keyboard shortcut to adding a serial, but I forgot what it is. Exposure. Add node. I want to do color, or you could do white balance. I don't have real estate. There we go. Add node, add serial. And I want to make this glow because I like it, just because I like it. So the noise, I can deal with that later. Exposure is like the first thing I really deal with. So we really want to pull the darks down and lights. See how it's like just a smidge bit in the middle. We want to like expand that. So I'd like to bring down the darks a bit more, bring up the lights. You can also make that S curve where you bring up the lights, bring down the darks. The problem with like how I shot this is like she's very, very backlit. So I want darks, but then also I want her face to be exposed. So you see how that like stretched out this a little bit. I'm gonna play with it a little bit more. Gamma is my mid-tone, so I want to increase my mid-tones a little bit. And I want to bring my lift down just to get some contrast going. And you really just want to like play around with it to where you think you like it. You can also work with gain just to bring up the lights to where you like it. I do like the midtones to be higher. And then we bring down the darks down. So we have something that looks a little bit more well exposed, like in terms of light. There's also contrast. I want to deal with that, but I'm good. And you can see that there's a lot of noise in terms of, wait, I think I'm looking at my proxies. Prefer camera originals. Okay, there we go. So we have a little bit of noise, and that's normal because in the Blackmagic cameras, they don't do all the sharpening and the denoising in camera. You have to do it by yourself afterwards. So I'm gonna just slap that on real quick. It is over here, and it's also good to note that the denoiser only comes with the studio version, not the regular version. So you'd have to go to Market House for that. But it looks like this one also has it. And then after you graduate, you can either buy a Blackmagic camera, you can buy one of their like editing things, and it'll come with your purchase. And it's not like you pay every single month kind of thing. It's like a flat fee, which is really nice about Blackmagic.
What kind of Blackmagic?
Yeah, like if you buy a 4K camera, 6K camera, the studio version comes with it. Which is nice. And then you get every update after that. So it's not like you have to pay continuously, like Adobe, for example. So denoise, I'm gonna put at 3 faster. I usually put better. Motion range is like how if like the person is moving really fast, then you would do large, but she's sitting quite still, so I would go small. And then let me zoom in so you can see the denoising take effect. Increase a little bit and it like starts blurring it a little bit. This is also, I also do this on this side just to see how that affects anything. So already that like took away a lot of that nasty blue thing. Can zoom in so you can see a difference. So it just softens it, you know, makes it look a little nicer overall. So that's denoise. I usually turn that off because you know the computer starts chugging after a bit. Depends on what kind of computer you have. And then we do color. So this is like very, very unsaturated. So I like to bring up the saturation a little bit. You can also toggle this thing and you can see all your different colors. So if I like wanted to bring the reds down, I can do that. If I wanted to bring the greens up, I could do that. So it's kind of like you can just play around with it. So that's color. And also, I also do white balance at the same time. But it feels pretty well white balance. You can grab this little dropper and then you can see your values. Like the red is 200, green is 195, blue is 191. So the reds are a little high, but you know, it's generally I like it. I think it looks pretty decent. So I'm gonna go with that. And then a really fun trick is you can copy and paste this to other clips. But you can also like say if I want this clip to have the same grade as that clip, you can middle mouse button click on that and it applies the same thing over. But clearly, as you can tell, you kind of have to grade every single clip because even though this is the same spot, that tiny angle shift, you have a completely different image. And if you have like the same, so like if you have a bunch of like this, you could copy the same grade over, but
Wait, how do you copy it?
you can, like, for example, if I want this to have that grade, you select this clip, but then you middle mouse click this clip. And that selects it over. You can also just generally Control C, Control V, Command C, Command V, C, V, all the regular stuff. But that's why color grading takes a while, because you have to do every single clip. And then after you stare at it for too long, you're like, wait, I don't like it anymore. And then you rechange it. So I think one of the best tips I could give about color grading is be in a somewhat dark environment. If you're like in a place where it's like really bright, then you really don't know what you're looking at. And then also like, don't be sitting on a clip for too long. You want to kind of go through it really fast, because the more you look at it, the more your eyes kind of start getting tired, and then all of a sudden you're like, all of a sudden all my stuff looks more pink just because I like it pink, and then all of a sudden it get pinker and pinker and pinker. So it's good to just getting a good like general pass over everything, and then you're able to see like how they match to each other. You want things to look like the same. You don't want one clip to be a lot brighter than the other, because then you can tell. So that is the basics of what I do when I color grade. Those, yeah, that's the basics. You have a bunch of other different toggles that you could play around with. Like detail, it like sharpens it slightly. You can see that sharpens. You can also have a color boost. I don't ever really use that, but you can. Look at this. Looks like that. Hue, highlights. Glow is my favorite. I haven't added that, but you can find it. Same thing. Drag it. There's also a bunch of other different stuff. Different kind of blurs. If you're looking for something specific, you would YouTube it. I usually green screen 3D here is pretty nice. All these different kind of glows. What else? Yeah, a bunch of other stuff you can soften and sharpen. Explore with that. Ooh, let me adjust this. Ooh, see, I don't know, it just makes it like look a little bit more natural. Like if you were to see this in person, it wouldn't be like the sharp edge, you know, it would glow a little bit like that. So yeah, it's like, that's how I do color grading for now. You know, eventually you're gonna have a big ginormous tree with a bunch of fancy little things, but I'm still learning, so this is what I have right now, just keeping it simple. And then that's about it, I think, for color grading. I don't know. Sound I don't really touch a lot, but it's always nice to look at this. Oh, I guess I can't play that while I'm on Zoom. But you are able to see your levels and make sure you're not peaking, make sure everything's mixed well. And then exporting, I'm sure you guys already know, you want to do a like a H.264 MP4 version, and then you also want to make a master, which is the Apple ProRes 422, just to get both sides, name it, set your location. It's pretty simple. It's pretty similar to other things, but you can do, this is Apple ProRes, or you can do H.264. Oh, I didn't even mention, there's this little, this is your project settings down there. And then you can do the scaling here. You do vertical resolution for your phone, keep it at square, 24 frames per second, which is what I shot my footage at. You would change it if you need to change it.
Yeah.
Ooh, another thing about, if you're shooting B-raw, you can adjust your settings in
ISO.
post.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite nice.
Do you ever think about like the relighting? Because I know that you can relight
You can change the ISO, like if you do clip, white balance as shot, you can change your white balance. You can change your ISO, but you can't change like aperture. So normally when I'm shooting, I will make sure it's exposed correctly. If the white balance is off, you can change that in post. If the focus is off, you can't change focus. So focus and exposure is like your main things to tackle when you're shooting. And that just makes it easier to like when I'm at a wedding, like I don't have time to like finagle with the settings. Like just make sure it's in focus, it's exposed correctly, and then you're good to go. That's about what it is.
Thank you.
Use the Vinci. It's quite nice. Yeah. Guys, ever have any more questions in the future? Let me know.
Yeah, well, definitely will. Yeah.